holiday season brings with it numerous opportunities to eat. You eat more and are exposed to extra servings of nice things as you attend year-end functions. A lot of those nice things end up coming home as gifts given by well-meaning friends and colleagues. Unfortunately, these gifts invariably end up on your hips. So, how do you deal with these marvelous culinary delights that whisper, "Eat me," every time you spy them? Well, let's not kid anyone. It's going to be tough, which is why the standard advice of just say no is not always helpful. Join us for this episode of Better Body Chemistry TV as we look at how to avoid wearing edible gifts on your hips using a little science. Better Body Chemistry TV is brought to you by Dr. Sandy, a scientist turned gremlin buster, helping you battle sugar gremlins, heifer lumps, and other health horribles through better body chemistry. Remember, small things can make a big difference to your health. When given a choice between enjoying a reward now or abstaining now so you can enjoy a reward later, in the moment, the brain can't do the maths. The choice: little reward now, big reward later. Little reward now will invariably win over the big reward later. This principle doesn't just apply to food. It even applies to money. This is one of the reasons we struggle to save. Now, the usual strategy of feigning deafness to the constant calls of those cookies seldom works because, well, the brain has calculated the magnitude of the cookie reward and expects it shortly. As far as it is concerned, that cookie is going to taste really nice. In fact, the longer you deprive the brain of its anticipated reward, the bigger the prize. The brain begins to exaggerate the positive effects. It adjusts the calculations to reflect that the cookies are not just going to be really nice, but really, really, really nice. It's around about this time that most people succumb to the temptation. Of course, you will not just have one or two cookies, but will eat the whole box in an attempt to access the enormous cookie prize, which wasn't realistic. Regret will quickly set in as the brain realizes the reward was not quite as rewarding as it had imagined, but the calories are now circulating in the system, and excess calories end up as excess baggage, usually around your middle. So, if you want to avoid pigging out on those cookies, you've got to obliterate the brain's reward. Good luck with that. Cookies are always going to taste fabulous and bump up dopamine, the reward chemical. So obliterating the actual reward is pretty close to impossible, which leaves you with the only other choice. You will need to obliterate the actual reward and annihilate the cookies, which is not always practical. But there is another option. You can overcome the culinary temptations by obliterating the perceived reward. This is what a team of researchers from the University of Texas discovered when they exposed volunteers to a variety of temptations. Their success or failure to withstand the temptation was carefully recorded, and the thinking that drove the decision analyzed. The team found people who resisted temptation turned the tempting reward into a booby prize. They found that the cookie that was resisted was assigned a calorie count of 5,000, but the cookie that was munched only had 100 calories assigned to it. The team coined a very technical term to describe this mental maneuvering. They called it counteractive construal. Counteractive construal boils down to mentally manipulating the facts, in this case, the calorie count, to improve self-control. You may be noticing you already use this technique when you procrastinate. The reason you haven't done your taxes or cleaned your closet, because the task will take forever. You exaggerated the negative. So beating the call of the tantalizing bag of cookies begins with assigning a calorie value to the experience. If you want to exhibit self-control, assign them a big number, way bigger than reality. Then remind yourself of the consequences of eating those extra calories, both in terms of what you look like, as well as the sugar spike ripping open the blood vessels, leading to a heart attack or stroke. See the cookie as a wolf in sheep's clothing. It looks good on the outside, but in actual fact, it is a killer. Use a little science on your brain this Christmas. Downgrade those edible treats from a detectable must-have reward to a booby prize, so you enjoy better body chemistry. Interested in discovering more ways to create better body chemistry, or need a little help getting your body chemistry on track? Visit our website at www.betterbodychemistry.com. Browse our library or enroll in one of our courses or programs. The advice is simple to follow and based on real science, not hype. Know someone who's expecting lots of edible gifts this Christmas? Share this video with them so they can avoid wearing some of those tasty treats on their hips. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you catch future episodes of Better Body Chemistry TV. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Remember, small things can make a big difference to your health.